If you feel like waiting is a waste of time, let me just tell you it doesn't have to be. Waiting can be actually a great time of healing, of growth, and of getting the rest that our body and our mind really needs to heal. We're all going to have times that we have to wait. So we can choose to be intentional so we don't waste our waiting. I think we often feel when we are waiting that we're just wasting time. But I want to encourage you today that that is not always true. I was recently on a group coaching call with a group of ladies sharing their stories of what they were doing in their waiting time. And it really impressed upon me that none of these ladies' stories were wasting their time. They were not wasting their waiting. They were using their time wisely. They were doing all sorts of things, and they were using this season of waiting to grow. They were also using it to rest and to heal. Rest is a very important part of healing, and we don't want to neglect the need our body has emotionally, physically, for rest. We should never feel shamed for resting when we need that rest. These ladies were actually reclaiming relationships, hobbies. They were even establishing new healthy habits. I genuinely loved hearing each of the testimonies and how they were uniquely using their waiting. The Hebrew word for wait actually means to be intertwined. Your life is actually tied up or in sync with God when we wait in Him. We are attuned to Him and what He is doing in our waiting. We can choose to see through a lens of how is He working in this season or in me, in my life, in my circumstances. We just pause and reflect and then go in the direction that He leads and nudges us. This is where we actually find true strength because those who wait on the Lord, He will renew their strength. Many of you have heard my story of miscarriages before. If not, I will link that podcast interview in the show notes below. But one of the distinct lessons that I learned during that season of having 7 miscarriages was to really deeply trust and wait on the Lord. I was once one of those people who really thought I had my ducks in a row. But for me, the journey to motherhood taught me that my ducks were not in a row, and it wasn't really up to me to get them in a row. I wasn't in control, is the point. And we all like to be in control. But I had to learn through the hard lessons of becoming, walking through the losses of miscarriages, just how much I was not in control. And one of the lessons that came out of that was from one of the lovely nurses that was helping me. And I remember her distinctly telling me to use this time of waiting to really lean in and rest in God's arms, just like the babies that I had lost were. She physically stood up and demonstrated what she meant. She meant to picture myself as floating or resting in God. And it stood out to me how important that was for that season. We are told to abide in Him. It's really not about always being busy doing. Sure, there's a season of busy and there's things that have to be done. We all have our to-do lists, our journals, our planners, and all the responsibilities that we cannot abdicate. However, we have to make sure we carve out time for rest and that we don't guilt ourselves or shame ourselves if we need rest. God designed us to need rest. I mean, when you look at the story of creation, even in that beautiful story, He rested on the seventh day. And He has told us to rest. We should be looking intentionally into a time of rest regularly. Also, if you are a person who happens to have been living in a survival mode, you may find yourself needing more rest than you normally do. And there is a physiological explanation for that. This is because your body has been trying to survive. So it's kind of been on overdrive in some ways, even though it might have felt like you were also numb in other ways. And so once you actually come out of that survival mode and start your journey of healing, your body now realizes that it's actually safe to rest and that you don't have to be running on overdrive. So remember during those seasons to not force yourself to work or to overwork, but actually allow that rest as a part of your healing. It's a very important part of our journey. We always want to be guarding our heart because remember, out of our heart are the well springs of life. So, some of the ways we can guard our heart at all times, but especially during these seasons of rest, is to dig into all things that are healing and calming to your soul. Whether you are actually resting or in a season of growth, you want to give yourself space to rest. There is no shame, remember, in resting because even it is necessary for us. We want to spend time reading and meditating on scripture, praise music, taking slow walks, soothing baths, doing somatic exercises, revisiting maybe our favorite books, stories, movies, even photographs, and home movies. Revisiting those special memories that bring us peace and a sense of calm and healing. Be sure to spend time alone, but also spend time with the people that you love, and especially those who are a great encouragement to you. There is no shame in rest. Quite the opposite. Let's be intentional and let's choose healthy, healing ways to rest. And then we can know for sure that we are not wasting our waiting. Until next time, this is my hope for you. May you find glimmers of hope everywhere. Be sure to follow and share this podcast. You can find me at stephaniejohns.com. You can use the show notes below for coaching and to join my email list, Hope and Wellness. Be sure to grab that mental health checklist and my favorite planner. All of this and more in the show notes below.